Actually, yeah, I was in mute. Welcome guys again, and let's continue with the next part. so, guys, last from couple of classes, I'll try to pick, one by one and multiple individual technologies, right? Maybe something related to storage, something related to networking, load balancer, and multiple different services. I'll try to pick. Maybe in my last class, we was talking about performance or the low latency service like Google Accelerator. And I also tried, guys. I'll try, or I'm trying to, differentiate when to use a Google Accelerator or when to use a CloudFront. Look like similar but different use case perspective. We have to pick respective technology. And I'm not also only discussing and only explaining you the use case. I also try uh, to show you the demo and also try to implement those concepts. Okay, and whatever guys, services we are picking in everyday classes, I also try to to discuss some more, some more big six component and the services, so that so every class you guys know multiple things. For example, in my last class we was discussing global accelerator, but same time also the way I create the the demo, I also explain you how metadata server work or how user data work and what kind of solution we can achieve from those guys. So till date guys, multiple different services we have discussed. But if you talk about the today's plan, very important service, the service that we are going to discuss from today, it is more related to security. Okay, so name of the service, even though there are a lot of services that is very much related to security, but the core service that we have to use, if you talk about the security, the name of service called IAM. And guys, if you remember, in my initial classes, very high level, we have discussed about IAM. And we have discussed about how to create the users there and give some kind of power. Okay, so but I my plan is to take this topic in very much in detail. So plan for today is, I will again start this topic from very basics with multiple different use cases and try to touch as much as advanced we will discuss here. Because uh, the way and what the point is, if you want to manage the access, or if you want to manage the identity, okay, the pre-created policies or rule might not be enough. We have to customize. So there's a lot of customization we are going to do in this IAM. But for this, there's a lot of vocabulary uh, in this service. We have to first understand those vocabulary, the concepts, then we will go deep dive. So entire class, guys, would be purely based on IAM, very important service with respect to security. So this, guys, the complete plan for today. Okay, so let me start from here. So let's say your company is planning to use a cloud services. So the your team or your management has created one account in the AWS cloud. Okay, and when you guys create an account, you normally have to associate your account details or bank details or credit card number. So the account that you create initially are known as the root account. Okay, but whenever guys you create an account for the Amazon perspective, you guys are the tenant or the user of their cloud. And they give you a unique account ID. And this account ID, guys, is very much useful for multiple things. If you want to contact to the customer for any kind of support, they also ask you most of the time what is your account ID. So these company, I'm talking about the Amazon cloud, they know you about and from your account ID. And you guys know how to check your account ID. So if you go here you can see your account ID, or maybe if you click here, you will find your account ID. But this account ID may be useful for some other purpose. We'll see some other demo where you require account ID to be used. So right now that I'm logging in this account ID. Okay, and I've logged in from my root account that is associated with my card or the credit card. Okay, but why this account is known as a root account? Because AWS guys has given you a complete power in all the services whatever they are delivering and providing to us. Means after you log in from your uh, root account, okay, and you want to use any services, you can use any services with all the power is also sometimes known as privileges. So you will have entire privileges and power to use any of the services. Okay, so this is the thing guys till date. We never see after we log in from the root account and they restricted us. For example, you would like to use EC2 service, and as soon as you go to EC2 service and they say, hey, you are not allowed. You can't use the service, or you can't terminate the instance or launch the instance and something like this. So we have guys the entire entire power. Why? Because we have login with the root account. Okay, but if you talk about a corporate world, or if you have a bigger or complex application, right? So obviously you are not alone in your team who have access of AWS account. Okay, and one small thing, if you want to use AWS, means if you want to use the data center or the resources AWS, you should have an account. That's what we have created from my root account or my email ID. Okay, but maybe you have a plan. Maybe you have a plan that you have a team member, and one of your team member is, let's say, A, one is B, one is C, and one is D. Okay, so maybe we have a plan because we know this team member A is great in storage management. So we will ask A, please go and log in to my AWS account, and after you log in, your main responsibility is go and connect to the storage red service like EBS or S3 or XY, maybe Glacier or whatever the storage service you have, and your responsibility is to just manage the storage for us. Okay, so technically you hire this guy as to manage storage, but point is here, if this A want to use the storage services, obviously as a AWS perspective, this guy has to first log in to your account, and anybody who want to log into the account, okay, they require the username and the password. Okay, so because they provide the login and password, so AWS check the login and password, and they see this guy's is login and password is right, so they authenticate this guy, and after authenticate they log in, and after login they can use the services. Okay, but here the challenge is, right, if you have this kind of requirement, I want okay, or my company want, after a login, I don't want this guys can use any other services apart from storage. I want to restrict this guy. Or I want to limit this guy, or I can say one more term here, I want to give a limited access to this guy. Only limited part of my services this guy can access. Okay, so for this, but always I will never provide my root user and password to this account. Because root user and password is the one who has a complete power. It is also known as admin account, have a complete power. And that easy reason, what we will do, we will create a separate user and password for A. And this user and password I will create in my account. So this user and password is also known as sub user or sub account I create for A. Okay, and why I create this? So that we can set some extra uh, limitation for the A. Or let's say I create an account for the A, and let's say the username I create for the A is called user A. This is my account name I created with some, obviously with some password. Okay, and in obviously inside my account, or this is my sub account, and after I create this account, I'll tell after create this user, I can say I'll tell in my main account because I'm a root. So let's say I'm my name Vimal. So this is my account, and I'll tell to my account that whenever this user log in with their password, obviously you have to check the authentication part. You just go and check the authentication, and from where you check the authentication, you will maintain your own local database inside your AWS, from where you can go and check. Okay, or there's more way you can check the login and password. There's a guys concept called IDP, identity providers, and LDAP, and almost a lot of thing is there. So normally in very advanced security, we normally see these facilities also. But somehow you go and check the login and password. If they are right, you authenticate. Means this user guys, this user A can able to log in to my same account. Okay, but as a Vimal or my root account, I will tell to my AWS account and say, whenever this user log in, I want you limit this guy, give a limited access to this guy. And what I want, you have to just give only storage access. Or maybe the guys, this might be not the right way to say. Okay, because Amazon per use case basis, they create a different storage. So if you want to block storage, you want to restrict for EBS, you want to go for object storage, you want to go for restrict for S3, you have a file storage, you want to restrict these guys for EFS. So what do you want? So obviously you should be very much specific. So as a Vimal, I'll say when this user login, only give this user to use S3 storage. Okay, so I want as a Vimal or root user to restrict or give limited access to this guy. And guys, this is a very but obvious concept in security world. So if you go to any of the security, all the security in the world follow one feature of least privileges. So read least privileges is a concept. Privilege means power. Okay, least means uh, if you want some user in your account, in your services, in your databases, in your cloud, wherever you have a sub user, always try to give least power. Okay, or maybe it's good practice, initially don't give the power. Okay, and where's and when we want this user will do something for you, only that power give to that user. So technically, or I can say explicitly, right, uh, initially don't give any power, and in the future, as per the requirement what they want to manage in your account, only just give that much power. Is a good thing for security, because big possibility I only want A will manage my S3 storage, but by chance they have a power in RDS database, and because they have hundreds and thousands of users in your company, right? It's very harder to again monitoring these guys. Even we have some tools, but very harder to monitoring these guys. That what extra power they have, they might misuse those power. So always go for guys concept called least privilege concept. Don't give any power, and as per and require, just keep on giving the power, or I can say the word called keep on giving the access on those services. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So we think I want a to user A, I would like to give some power, and because the requirement come up, and according to requirement, we believe we have to give a power only for S3. But now guys, again, S3 is a big service. Okay, you guys know S3 because we already discussed. So if you go to S3, it is big service. Big means it's only one service, but inside S3 you have a multiple folder. You guys know those folder in S3 is known as buckets. So I don't have bucket, but we can create. So there will be a lot of bucket inside S3. So what you want, user A will manage all the buckets. Okay, maybe I have a folder name, or I can say bucket name, bucket one, we have bucket two, or bucket three. So what do you think you want? A user after login will by default, by default means explicitly, they don't have a power, but me as a Vimal, as an account user or admin, I'll decide a user in my company will only use S3 services, but in S3 there are a lot of folder bucket. So I want this user will only manage this bucket. Okay, and whatever permission I give extra, that my permission uh, this user will have, or that my access this user will have. Okay, so it means if user want to use B2 or B3 bucket and folder, they won't able to give, because I only give uh, a user this power. But again, bucket is a guy's bucket. Okay, bucket, but in the bucket what power you want to give. So they will thus they can go they can list all the file in the bucket. Thus they can able to download files from the bucket. Thus they able to upload files in the bucket, and you guys know in the bucket whatever you put as a file, they are known as object, because this is object storage. So what you want. So I want A will do only one thing. They just keep on list, or maybe they keep on view whatever the objects we have. Okay, I don't want or maybe only list. I don't want this A user will download my data and upload my data. Maybe this maybe my as a kind of you know viewer, or as a kind of just supervisor kind of guy. I don't want because this data this bucket is very important. We keep on putting a lot of internal companies PDF and documents. These guys just keep on checking all the files name is uploading the file size and something like this, but these guys don't able to upload new thing, not able to download the new thing, or all anything, and don't able to delete anything. So I would like also want to restrict this guy what they can do in this bucket. So if you see here, if you see here, we are trying to control the access of this user, whatever guys this user is meant for, why this user is a part of your team. Okay, and let's say my plan is to give this user only a list power. They can only list the object, or they can only list the bucket. That power I would like to give. Okay, and for this bucket. Okay, so technically, if you summarize this part, okay, summarize this part. If you want any user some access, okay, what you want to do, by default everything is not allow. Okay, typically is known as deny. But if you want a user will have something, and you want a user will do something somewhere, and I want this part a user can do, the what I'm highlighting here, this part I want this user can do. So technically what I want, I would have to change some effect in the a user, and effect is I would have to allow this guy for something. Everything is denied, but I want to allow this guy for something. And what I want to allow for, so I want this user will allow for this particular services. And guys, whenever you have a service we always guys use, right, as a user. Okay, so as the Amazon is provided storage and RAM and CPU, so technically these are known as resources. So I can say Amazon perspective, S3 is one service. Inside the service bucket, or maybe for file, is the data or storage or our resources. So you have to be very sure, um, obviously, which resource you want to allow. So technically I want to allow this called affect, but which one do you all, which resource you want to allow? S3, EBS, EC2, RDS, VPC, which resource you want to allow? So I want to allow S3 resource, and inside S3 resource, uh, P1 bucket, and maybe some particular object, maybe. So that's what I want. But what you want? So in this resource B1, you want a list, download, upload, everything, anything. So what you want? So what will be your final action? What action this user can perform? So I can say my user can only perform action called list, or maybe I can create user C here, and I want my user C can use resource Understand one thing, guys. S3 is a service, and B1 bucket is a resource. Similarly, EC2 is a service, or inside EC2, you guys might launch one operating system. So this operating system is known as resource. So I want my user C would able to use this resource. Okay, but in this resource, what they can do, so I can say my user C, after login, they can terminate this system, they can start this system, they can rename the tag, they can restart the instance. They might change the metadata. What action you want to perform in this resource, of and that action you want to allow or deny. By default deny, but you want to allow, maybe sometimes you have to add an extra deny for something. So what action, or sorry, what effect you want to be implemented. Okay, so technically, if you try to summarize this part, every bit of every resource in the AWS inside any services, okay, we can create a granular small access we can control. And for this, AWS has provided one access management tool. So they provide some access management tool, and using this, we can tell AWS that I want to manage these kind of access. Okay, because maybe in one project we have 100 different guys working, every guys we are giving a limited power. Okay, so we'll tell my access management service is one of the service in AWS, and we'll tell this access management service when a user login. So this access I would like to give to a, in this resource, what effect and what action they can perform. Okay, so technically this is known as policy. Policy. So you have to create a policy where you have to write something like this, something like this. These are the keywords actually you have to write. And after you create a policy and tell to the access management and say, whenever a user login, apply this policy to this guy, or limit this guy with this particular policy. Policy means allow only for S3 and B1 bucket, and for what? Only for list. Something like this we will write inside my policy. Okay, we will write over here. Okay, but understand one thing, how Amazon come to know, that this user is A or B or Vimal or Root or Chris, how they come to know. Obviously they have to log in, right? So when they log in, they give the login and password. Amazon that time detected this user login in which account. That time they go to this account access management program and say, hey, this user login, we detect their name. And after we detect their name, we now confirm, because this guy provide my login and password, so we confirm the identity of this guy because they log in, because they have the password. Okay, so technically this entire concept is now called identity and the access management. In the short form is called IAM. So this is actually concept normally we use in security world. By chance in AWS, our service name is also IAM. So IAM is service that give you two facility, mean a high level facility I'm talking about. One, they know how to check the identity by login name password from local database or some other way. Also they might have multi-factor authentication also. And after the computer know, hey, this is user A or user B, then what user can do, the access management program of IAM service can do for you. But for this, the user that you create in your main account should be associated with a policy, or we have to attach some policy. And what this policy is something like this: effect, actions, and resource, something like this, and through which we can control every user very granular way. In the very detailed level we can control. Okay, so guys, this is a high level meaning of IAM. So as we start writing or implementing, you become comfortable in this topic. Okay, but the way you write the policy, because whenever you talk about a lot of customization, if you see guys here, hundreds of services we have, every server we have a hundreds of different resources, every resource has different own keyword. So lots of customization we have to do here, so we have to typically write a policy, and if you want to write a policy, they support one language that's called JSON. So with the help of JSON language, okay, we have to write a code, or I can say we have to write a policy. So let me show you guys how it work. So for this, I am going to IAM services. Okay, and before this, let me do one small thing. A small thing. Let me create a bucket here, and let's say this is the test Linux world 123. I'm creating the bucket in Mumbai, and and so I enable this. So even though there's no require, so because this part and finally bucket created. Okay, this bucket name, you guys know it should be unique name always. So I'm creating a bucket with this one name. So this bucket created, so I can say in my S3 service, one resource created. Let me create one more resource. Test my Linux world 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So one more bucket I'm creating. So there's two resources we have, or two buckets we have. Buckets we have, and inside this bucket I am uploading uploading some object, means I'm talking about the file. I'm talking about the file. So add a file. So from my desktop, I'm uploading some file, randomly file. I'm uh, picking here. So this file has been uploaded. Okay, similarly, this service guys, high level we discussed, even though we'll talk more deep dive in this service. Okay, and so let me go to go back, and let me go here, and also want to upload one more file over here. So again, randomly I am picking some file and upload it. So now both the bucket has some file, and maybe let me do one more thing. In this same bucket, in the same bucket, I am they keep on changing the look and feel of the pages. So in the same bucket, I am also uploading one more file. Let's say this one. So technically, in this particular bucket, you have two files, or I can say two objects. So maybe this is might be one of the use case you have. What I want after user A login, they can go to this bucket, but they can only able to view this object, not this object. There might be possibility you want to set this level of uh, granular control also. Okay, so technically that is a reason guys, because this is a very common thing we have to do. Very one specific object or one specific resource we would like to give a control, or want to do something else. So that is a reason guys, whenever you create any resources, for example this object and this file is one resource for AWS. So whenever you create any resource, maybe in EC2, maybe in S3, Amazon give some unique name to that resource, or unique number to that resource, and that is known as Amazon resource name. ARN. So Amazon ARN is Amazon resource name. So every resource in the Amazon in your respective account is known by some unique name that is called ARN. Okay, so that is guys, sometime you will see some name like this, Amazon resource name. And if you see guys, whatever they name give to us, it is unique. None of the other resource in your account is per account basis. Okay, will have the same name. So if you try to see here, this is a normal naming convention they use here. So they start with a keyword called ARN. Okay, then they use that I am a AWS service. Okay, then they give a service name is S3 or VPC or EC2. Then they have two blank here. The blank is for some other purpose, I'll explain you. Then because the S3, so in the S3, which bucket you are talking about, and in this bucket, which object you have. So this is a unique, and you guys know in this folder we can't create a file with the same name. So it is a unique identity of this particular object. So we can tell we can tell my user, let's say user a, after you log in, the only resource that can allow to you, right? So if effect is allow, and the resource that is allowed to you is this resource. How they know? You're here, you have to give that unique name. Okay, so action is allow, sorry, effect is allow. It's called effect, and resource name is this one. But in this resource, uh, what you can perform, can you delete, can you rename, can you download, or can you again upload with the same name? So that is called action. So what action, sorry, what action you can perform. So guys, these are the keyword while we write a policy. So this is an entire policy you have to create. In the policy we have to write a keyword like allow, resource, and actions, all the thing. But obviously you should know your name of your resource name AR. Okay, and so there's one link, guys, here. I will share this link if you want. So there's one link they have, and here, guys, they give you uh, the syntax of the AR. So ARN would be something like this. Your pattern here means AWS service, means you are S3, maybe EC2. Region means, if you guys obviously use EC2, so EC2 is regional services. So in Mumbai or Virginia, which region you have that resource. And account ID means your account. Because there might be possibly some concept we have. Maybe I want my this user will use a resource, but not in my account. It create in my account, but they will use a resource in other account. So we have a way to map multiple accounts or consolidate account. So that is the reason, guys, they have account ID. Then which resource type, uh, either bucket name and bucket object ID. So this is a syntax the they follow. And person means AWS or China region or some government data center they have, they put here. Okay, and there's some example they give to you. They give to you. These are the one of the example we are discussing right now. So if you want to do control security, especially you should know which resource you would like to allow. Okay, so let's go again to IAM service. Okay, and better I'll just open a new tab. So if you see, guys, in your security security block, you can see IAM is one of the, there's other security also, maybe some of more security we will discuss, but IAM is one of the main core security we use. So what you can see here, this is my IAM dashboard. And it is also good practice, guys, don't log in from the root account. You guys might know, maybe we have discussed already. Because root account is the one through which our credit card also connected, and root account is the only account by default that have power to create other user, to change other password. So it is very much critical account they have. And that is the reason, whenever, guys, you go to IAM, you always see a security alert. And they say you have login with your root account, but your root account don't have multi-factor authentication enabled. Okay, and I think you guys know multi-factor authentication means, I want, if I log in with my root account, I will give my login and password, but I can't only rely on the password. Maybe by chance somebody can steal my password, or maybe try and maybe they get access the password, they can access my main account. Okay, so it's good practice, after you log in, some mobile OTP come up, or some maybe fingerprint come up, or some kind of one more authentication we have to apply. So if I give the right password, then my thumbprint work, or if I give the right password, then I give my OTP. If both the work together, that's called multi-factor. Okay, then only this account will log in, especially the root account, because root is the most critical account for us. Okay, even though guys there's no option you can find here to thumbprint, but in some project I've done some small testing or POC I have done, where I attach some IoT devices with some thumbprint, doggles we add there, and somehow some internet API we call, and through which we technically successfully implemented thumbprint kind of authentication also. So that's not directly provided by AWS, but somehow some kind of tricks you can use to implement. So I'm not obviously going for that part, but at least OTP part you can do. Okay, so if you want to very quickly check how to set the multi-factor authentication, so there's option called enable to improve the security of root account. You just click here, enable. Do you want to activate the multi-factor authentication? I say obviously yes. Okay, and there's a multiple way available. Okay, so there's some kind of hardware device also come up, but I'm going for virtual device. They are also known as authenticator. So there's a lot of mobile app come up that work like a uh, OTP or some kind of token, not OTP, some kind of token generator. Okay, so I'm going to use this virtual device. Okay, I click continue. And here they give you the list of compatible application for this virtual multi-factor authentication over here. If I click this list, so a lot of guys app available in the market that you can purchase. Okay, this is for Android and for iPhone. So very famous one is Google Authenticator. This is one of the app you can install. It work like a token provider, and every minute the number is keep on changing. Sometimes RSA doggle come up. You guys might have seen. So this kind of facility your app will provide, but it's not real doggle. Doggle is an application, so it is known as a virtual. Anyway, so there are 4 or 5 tested supported apps you have. So according to your device you can install. So one I already installed in my mobile phone right now, but I am not using none of these here. There's a one more app available. By chance it is not in the list, but I believe it should work. So it is called free OTP. Okay, and I have iPhone here, so iOS app. You can find for Android also. So go to Play Store, App Store. You can also try this free authenticator part. So in my laptop, in my mobile phone, I already have. So what I have to do, just I have to scan my QR code. So I just open my free OTP. There's a top, they give me icon to open my camera to scan. My camera started. I click on this QR code and I'm scanning right now. It's not visible, but I'm scanning right now. Okay, and they ask me to click next, then next. Okay, and they have connected. And if you go down, they're asking, there's some code they are generating. So just type that code. So my code is coming in my mobile phone, it's not visible to you, is this one. And they say after a minute your code will change. Okay, whatever new code you have, also type this so I can connect your mobile app with this multi-factor. So it's successfully connected. So my mobile app is actually connected to this multi-factor. Okay, so now if you see now, my virtual app or virtual device is being connected. Okay, so if you again go to your dashboard, there's no uh, error come. Even though guys they're also talking about least privilege access, that what I was talking about, but there's no warning come up. So now my root account has multi-factor authentication. What I mean by this, if I now log out from my account and if I try to log in back again, and if I try to log in through my main account, root account, and by chance in my case my root account name is this one, and guys, this is the always they ask me password, but they say I can't only rely on the password. If I click, I will ask OTP also and the token also. And I again open my mobile phone that they generate one token to me. So I'm typing this token here and I submit. And every minute, guys, they're changing because I have given the right token. And so they log in. So two things they check. That's called multi-factor authentication. So it has been done. So good practice in the root account to set up this. Okay, so this is one extra thing I just want to tell you, but let's go to our main topic. That's called IAM. Okay, so but normally we don't log in from the root account and implement something. So what we do, we always create a separate user, and from this user, I don't have any user here, or I don't have any identity. Also, you can use a word. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm creating a user. Let's say I'm creating a user called user A. Okay, and you guys, this type you know already. So you want to log in with the user from the console, and you also want to log in this user from API or CLI. So how to use CLI, you guys know already. But how to use API or SDK? So in my AWS developer track, right now we are in the CSA track. In developer track, I will show you how to use API or SDK also. But right now my planning is not use none of the guys. So there's no, I'm not putting tick here. But I want to log in with console, and I want my password. uh, I'm setting my own password here. Okay, I also don't want after next time login, first time login, I don't want to change my password again. But you are the root user, you create an account for somebody, so it is good practice. You ask user A that after you log in first time, change your password, whatever you feel, so that you can keep on using in the future. Okay, and then click on next, and you know what they are talking about, you have to set the permission. Technically they are talking about, right now you have created a user, or you're going to create a user A, what power, what privileges, or what permission you would like to provide to this user. And what a permission you want to provide to the user, attach some policy. Attach some policy. So that's what guys they're talking about, attach some policy. Okay, so just for a small demo, I am not attaching any policy here. So I'm skipping this part. Just click next. If you want to get some tag, there's a different point. Review, and it is very clearly mentioned this user has no permission. Means none of the user resources service this user can access. Okay, but let me create this user. My user created, identity created. Okay, but after this user login, this user won't able to do anything. Okay, so what I'm doing guys here, uh, for any user or a sub user, if you want to log in, so they give a unique URL in your account, and this URL has a unique mean. Here this URL start with your account ID. So my account ID is this one, 0381. So they create one unique URL for my account. So I will give this URL to all of my user, or my sub user, and say if you want to log in my account, I am giving this login and password, and this is a URL you have to use to log in. Or otherwise you can just close here, and if you go to your dashboard, you can also find your URL. But this URL is a little big, you can also customize this URL from here. And let's say this is Linux world AWS URL. So you can also customize your URL. This name is already exists, so lines for AWS training. Okay, so this is a unique name I'm giving, but you guys know this is a actually domain name. So when you create this customized, behind the scene they update this name in the AWS internal DNS services. So that is what they have done behind the scene. So I provide this URL to my final user, and let's say my user will type this URL. But notice one thing, when anybody type this URL, the good thing about this URL is they have a separate login page come up. Okay, but interesting thing is, automatically this page is only for IAM user. Because whenever you guys create extra user here, these users are also known as IAM user. And automatic guys, my account ID or my account alias, because this is a name I given, come up. If you don't give the name, here the ID come up, 12-digit ID account come up. And here I can just go and log in from this user A, whatever password I have set there, and click. I've logged in. But right now, all the security normally work with the list privileges, and I haven't provided any policy to this user. So this user want to go anywhere. Let's say this user want to go to S3, okay, to do something there, or EBS. What you will see, okay. So what you will see, okay, you don't have permission to list the bucket. Okay, and by chance if you see here, which is very interesting, okay, they are saying you don't have a permission to allow. So technically they are talking about effect called allow. And they're also talking about, you don't have a power to do some action over here, and the action they're talking about, S3 list all my bucket. It means if you want to give this user a power to list all the bucket, only list, don't create, don't rename, don't go inside the bucket, only list. So guys, every um, um, every service resources come with pre planned actions. So they're talking about the action, and here the action name is pre-named, actually, list all my bucket, or upload object, or download object. Okay, and to go inside the bucket. But here we are only planning to list the bucket name. So let me do one thing, because this data I am collecting here. So they're talking about you don't have an action for this. Okay, this is my action. And 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 what permission you don't have, allow. Okay, what effect you don't have, allow thing. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. And but in which service? S3. So S3 is my service, or I can say S3 is one of my resource name. So they don't have power in the S3. Okay, so I guys collected this information, because I think this is the best way. Just give, just do one thing. Uh, uh, Remove all the power that is by default nature. Okay, and then whatever power you want to give, keep on giving, only keep on adding is the best way to learning, also best way to test the thing also. So what my plan is, my plan is to create a policy. This is the file, guys, it look like a policy. So I'm going to create this policy file first. So if I again go to my root account, because I'm using two different browser here, so I'll again go to my IAM. Here I log in with my root account. And if you see, guys, there's one tab here called policy. A policy here, and here they're asking you, do you want to create a policy? But before this, if I go to my user, and this particular user, and if you click in this user, what you see, this user has no permission policy attached. It means everything is denied. So what I'm doing here, according to my plan, I am going to create a policy. Okay, and here, guys, you have to create a policy in a JSON format. JSON format. And what you have to do between this statement, okay, you have to type your policy. And what we have collected this information, and I am typing here. That's all, guys. That's what you have to do. Okay, but it is, but always, because this is JSON file. So guys, in the JSON, we have to follow the the proper syntax. So here, these guys should be in the double quotes. This guys also come in double quotes. And guys, in the JSON, every statement we end with comma, we end with a comma. And again, this effect is also come between the double quotes. This is allow. Good. And this resource is again come in the double quote. And this is the resource name we have in comma. So something like this is again is not completed, but something like this we have to do. Even though this policy, uh, this is a one editor called visual editor. They are showing some error. They say instead of colon, we have to put a comma. Technically, they not properly guide trying to guide us. Because because we can create a multiple policies. For example, there might possibility, i want the I want in this policy, I will also want to give some power to other resource like EC2 for something. So multiple things I can write in one document or in one policy. And for EC2, again, I am saying EC2, we are going to give you some effect. Resource name is EC2. And action that I want to give you, that after login, somebody can able to terminate the instance and something like this. So multiple guys, um, axis. This is guys called axis. So multiple axis you can add in one document. And that is the reason we have to put this one axis in one box. So multiple statement you can add, or multiple axis you can add here. Okay, even though we have more error. Okay, then there might be possibility some syntax keyword we have mistake. Let me remove the last uh, comma, and now it's working good. Okay, so finally, finally guys, one JSON document has been created. Maybe there might be some mistake here. One of the mistake I can see here, that my resource name is not in the proper format. Okay, because normally in the resource we have to give the ARM. But let's go and try. Let's see what happens. Okay, and let me finally review the policy. And even though guys, they are very clear, the policy document you have create, they have some grammar error. You can take the help, obviously. They have the grammar error. Okay, and grammar error, maybe we have a capital letter difference, or maybe ARN number is not right, and maybe some more thing, or maybe in the action we normally provide a list of actions. Okay, because a lot of actions I won't like to add here. Okay, so technically, why I'm creating this code here, I can rectify this code, there's no big deal. But why I'm creating this code here, to explain you the right concept of action, effect, and the resources. But normally guys, there's lots of statement you have to write. Okay, and like just for about S3, there's a lot of actions we can have. Maybe hundreds of actions they have. So there's no meaning to remember those action name. No, there's no meaning to go and find in the document. So, um, so what can we do? I'm not creating the policy from here. There is a guys live editor they give us. Okay, live editor they give us, and let me first do one thing. Let me cancel the entire thing. Again, I go to policy, and rather than I create my policy here and keep on typing, I can just go for this live visual editor. And here I can directly choose the service. So my service name that I'm looking for is S3. Okay, and in S3 service, what action you want to perform, and my action guys, I told you we have to only allow list. But they said you want to allow all, everything you want to do. Okay, but I say no. And before this guys, even though I do anything, if you go to JSON, if you see in the real time, even though they haven't updated yet, but as soon guys I pick all, means this policy can do anything here. It's not again updated, but the update soon. Okay, or because I know already according to my plan, I only want to do list all my backend action. So obviously guys look like a list. Okay, and if you click list, there are a lot of things you can do, but my plan is only allow list my bucket. Okay, and how I know? Maybe from my error come up because that's what we wanted, or maybe by reading the document and help, you come to know what this access level or this particular action do for you. So this is guys one action we have selected here. Let me keep on typing, and then they asking about resources. Okay, so they say action that you choose support all the resources, means technically they are talking about uh, the action that you support is enough whatever you want to do here. What I mean by this, I'll take one more example, you come to know. And now guys, finally if I review, there's no error come up, and it is being created. And here they give you a summary. They say S3, we are using S3 services. Okay, in S3 services right now, we are looking for all the resources. Okay, means all the bucket, inside all the bucket, all the objects, all the resources we are looking for. But only thing that we this policy can do is list. List means only list, and in like in ls linux command, we ls only they can list, they can't delete, create, or anything upload. That's the only access level they have, or only action they can perform. Okay, and here guys you can give your policy a name. Let's say my custom s3 policy. Obviously this is not a good name. Give a proper name, s3 only allow list, something like this. But let me give some name, or it's good practice to give proper description. And finally create policy. Policy has been created, but behind the scene this visual editor has created a json code. So now there are a lot of policy here. What I mean of this policy we'll discuss, but if you search here my custom, this is a policy we have created, because we have created, so this type is called customer managed. Like I'm the customer Amazon, and this policy is managed by me. So if you guys click on this policy, okay, and now if you just go to json, guy, can you hold for a second please? So guys, this is almost same code we are planning they have done for us. So only one statement they have. Okay, sid is just nothing special, it is just a unique id. By default they put visual editor, but normally we put as a description kind of thing what this policy is doing for. So I can write s3 allowing for all bucket. So but because I created this policy from visual editor, so by default they pick some unique id. So this is not at all important. And the important thing is, if I again go back here, so my action, if you see effect is allow. Okay, my action is what you want to do, and according to the error come up. Okay, so I pick this as my action. Okay, and resources, so because we are looking for s3. Okay, so all the resources in s3 means all the bucket, all the objects, star means all. We are allowing. So that's what I'm doing is so it might be not the perfect policy. Perfect means we require something else here extra, we will we will add it, I'll show you. But let's check this policy. So policy guys has been created again. Let's go back to my user a account. Okay, and according to policy, this guy should have list the bucket. So if we refresh this page again, let's see what happened. This guy able to list the bucket or not. Again the same error come up. Why? Because policy is just a guy's document, is one document. Okay, and this document will give somebody a power and permission, and here the somebody user. So for this, you have to attach this document to this user. And same policy, guys, we can attach to hundreds of users also. So policy is just one document, but after we get the document, we have to attach. So that is the reason, guys, if you go to your main root account and if you go to policy uses, okay, you can't see none of your username because this policy is not at all attached to any of the user. So you can go and attach from here, or you can go to the respective user, okay, here, and from here you can also attach. So I am a user A, I am here, I can adding a permission, means I'm attaching a policy. So I click here, and here, guys, again same page come up and say, do you want to attach an existing policy? Because we have already created. And you can search your policy whatever you created. So this was the policy we had created, this R plus policy. So 1 minute. And next review, and you want to add, yes. This add. So now this user, because user also have a unique URLs here, everybody has a unique URL in the AWS. So now this user has this policy attached, or I can go to policy also. Okay, and I can also ask my policy, can you tell me who is using you? So there's one user called user A, this guy is using me. Okay, now if I again log in to my user A, I already log in, and if I refresh this page, what you will see now, there is no error come up. No error come up. And why this error come up? Because this user want to retrieve some more information here, and for retrieving that information they require some extra power. So we can also add this different point, I will show you. But because we has given only for one thing, that you can list the thing, that's what they can list. And now if I go inside, let's say this bucket, this bucket, and here, what they are giving you, they are giving you one more error. Okay, you don't have a permission for this action. Okay. Because understand one thing, there's two different concepts, right? One is, okay, do you want to see all the bucket name? That action is known as list all my buckets. Means just bucket name. But inside any of the bucket, inside any of the bucket, if you want to list all the objects, then the name of the action is list bucket. Or because in my policy I haven't add this action, that's the reason, guys, this error come up. So if you want to give this permission, so guys, if you see here, I'm just keep on giving uh, giving power, or give the access as and when we require. So I want, yes, I want this guy can see all the objects file in this bucket. So I'm giving allowing this action. So this action, I guys, I am allowing. So we can, guys, give multiple actions. Or because you can give multiple action, and that easy reason, guys, action is a one kind of list. So keep on adding a list of the actions. So again, I go to my root account, I'll go to my permission. I can add here, or maybe you can go to edit policy. Either you can add here, or you can take the help of visual editor and say, I have to add some more thing. And one I already selected, but I would have to select one more thing that is called list bucket. Okay, so I want to add this one also. So after I add, again, see, review. Sorry. Now, guys, now one extra keyword come up that, guys, last time it was disabled, because logically, according to AWS, if you are only selecting list all my bucket, it means you are asking, as soon as you land to S3, just give me all the bucket name. That's all right. There's no further meaning or further thing you can do. But as soon as you select list bucket, okay, it means you're asking Amazon that in S3 you have multiple bucket, and inside this bucket you can go and see the object. Inside this bucket also you can go and see the objects. So technically now, because you have more than can possible, there will be more than two or three hundreds of resources. So that's what they're talking about. Which resources you want to allow. So let's say I want to allow all the resources. Okay. So all even though they are not, they are saying it's not good practice, go for least privileges. Let me go for all resources. It means okay, all the bucket is my resources, so I would like to allow all. So my user can go here and here, all the buckets they can go. And let me review it. Okay, so again we are give the limit access and save change. So if you see guys here, now action become this two. So guys, now here is this become a list the way I am trying to explain you. Okay, and that's all. Good thing is this policy guys is already associated with my user. You don't have to again associate, but my policy we updated. Now again I will go to my user, and if I again refresh this page, okay, refresh this page, and now this time if I go and try to go inside one of my bucket, it's now it is been come up. So now I can list all the objects in my bucket. Okay, and if I click here, if I click here, and from my user, if I try to delete, okay, now one more error come up. You don't have permission to delete something, or maybe let me try to delete. And if I click here, okay, they say you are failed. You failed to delete. Your access denied. Okay, and maybe some kind of warning come up. This warning is for different purpose, but they're not giving a proper warning. But technically they're saying you don't have a delete power. Why? Because according to my policy I only allow for list and list, nothing for deny, nothing for upload or download. That's what guys they are talking here. Okay, this is one thing. And even though guys, if you click here, if you click here and after click, this is the URL you want to download. If you try to download guys, finally they give that because we have a limit power. But let's come to main some different point here. But this time guys, if you try to go inside this bucket also, you can see it. But what I want to do further granular control. i only want I only want my user can only see this particular bucket. Only this bucket. They can't go inside this bucket. Or maybe I want this guy will only go inside this bucket. Okay, so now this time again I go to my edit policy. Okay, two actions I already have, and here in my resource I will go for a specific resource. And guys, as soon as you go for a specific resource, and I told you what is resource, everything in the AWS is a unique resource, and every resource have a unique ARN number. So guys, here you have to give the AR number, and that's what guys they're talking about. You have to add the AR number to restrict. Okay, so I click here, and here they're asking me a bucket name, and if you put the bucket name, they automatically create your ARN number for you, or you can directly copy paste their AR number if you know. Okay, and let me add. So now this time, this time, this policy has been updated. Okay, and save change. This time you see guys, last time resource was star, now this resource is down. This time is very much clear. So everything is denied by default if you don't type anything. But this time, this time, and even though if you see guys, there's two statement they create, because listing all the bucket is a different concept. Okay, going inside the bucket is a different concept. So we can list all the bucket name, but only we can go inside a bucket called test my 123 to list the object there. So two statement we have covered, and here we have specified the AR number. Okay, and this policy already attached. Now if I refresh again, And if I go inside this bucket, that this time you won't have a power because you don't give to this bucket power. Error come up. Last time there was no error. But if I try to go inside this, you are able to list everything here. Okay, so that's what guys they are doing here. Okay, but over here, if you try to do some action here, maybe you want to delete this object, or you want to move this object, or download this object, rename this object. So anything you want to do with this object, let me do one thing. Let me try to download this object. So again error come up. Even though this object, I can see, means only list, but I don't have a power to download. Okay, or maybe if you try to do more action here, maybe your plan is to make this object public. Again, you are not allowed. Why? Because you don't have get object ACL permission. Okay, so this kind of permission you don't have. Okay, so again, what can you do? Again, go to policy editor. Okay, and there's two actions here because two things we have created. So one is list bucket. One is list all bucket. So um, uh, let me add one more additional permission here. Choose the service is S3, and here action guys, what you want. So do you want to give a permission? So guys, just with respect to right, there's lots of things. It is only related to related to S3. So do you want to give a power to delete the object, because right now they don't have a power to delete? Or do you want to power to put object, means upload? Okay, and you want to delete the bucket, what power you want to give here? Okay, maybe in permission management, what extra power, the time here they're giving error called get object AC. So maybe here you can find this, or maybe and read, you can find this policy, get object, get object AC. Okay, so either guys, just keep on checking what error getting, keep on collecting the information here, searching, or maybe read the document. They will tell you what the meaning of chorus, bucket location, logging, and keep on doing here. And for this resource, a specific ARN is this one. So my ARN name is this one. Okay, if you see this time, they asking two things, because the permission that I am attaching here, it is more specific, not to bucket the object, because we are asking to make it public, we are asking to rename the bucket or delete the bucket. Sorry, delete the object. So they're asking you, do you want to apply for all the bucket, this could start? Or you say no, I am only want to allow only for this particular object, only for this object. So here you can give a specific name to to that object. And guys, if you see here, the same ARM number come up. Oh, again, I have to type your object name. So bucket name first. So my bucket name is this one. So inside this bucket, okay, my object name is this one, and I will add. So this will come up. Now, save change. If you try to look, this is a one statement, this is next statement, and this is the next statement. So we are allowing, because everything is denied, we are allowing only for this resource. What? Get object ACL, delete object, and put object. There's no meaning to put here, but I just randomly type this. But but this object we can delete. That's what I have put here. So if I again go back, or maybe refresh there, if I go inside, I can list. If you click this guy and try to make this guy uh, public, Maybe guys, to making the public, more permission we might require. If we require, they will give the error, otherwise they make it public. So guys, last time they give me a warning, now this warning doesn't come up. And if you want to make it public, okay, so guys, again, one warning come up, you don't have sufficient permission, because for giving making the public, you might require some more permission. Because you want to make it public, you should have bucket level access also. That's what they are giving there. So that much power you can also give. So, so according, guys, you just keep on adding those things. But if you try to delete this guy, so maybe this much permission is enough for deleting, but maybe there is some other permission also required, because delete might wanted to change something in your bucket also. But you have power to delete the object. But if you don't have power to delete anything in the, or change anything in the bucket, if have this kind of dependencies, so they will fail. So let's see. So here, do you want to delete? Type. Last time they failed, and this time they was very much successful, and there is no error come out. It means delete is not at all depend on other things. Because by looking at the name, looking at the name, it is very harder to to tell. Looking at the name means looking at this permission, that this permission is individual, or they will depend on other. Either you read the document, again reading the document may be very harder. So I believe this is the best way, best way to go and check, go and check on which they are, whatever they are depend on. Okay, so this, so guys, the policy has been created. Okay, similarly, you can create a policy for EC2, same logic. There will be no difference. Okay, let me create one very quick policy for EC2. So right now, guys, this user wanted to use EC2 services. And if you see, guys, everything is error, because this user don't have power to even to see the number of instance are running also. They can't view the instance running. They can't see any of the instance are running. But in my case, I am running a lot of instance in Mumbai, but this user won't able to see it. Okay, so let's start creating. Okay, so what I'm doing, because this is a newer kind of thing, so it's better to create a new policy. Choose a service is EC2. EC2, what action you want to perform, you want to give all the action, just select this. There's no great reason to select all, so I'll just only want to give only read access. In the read access, you want to give them a power to describe instance status, instance type. So different guys describe the volume. Or you can also, guys, understand this thing with a command line. Command line also have same option, describe volume, describe those things. So it is again so much, same kind of name they have, describe host, describe APCs, those things. Or you want to give extra power to read, describe tags. Okay, or maybe some more thing. So randomly I is tapping, because maybe something might depend on other. Okay, but I'm randomly typing here. Okay, and there's no meaning to select the resource, because we are just checking the name, right? So but if you do something on right, one minute, my system becomes slower. So if you do something on right, okay, then guys, this option will come up. Oh, there's tons of things they can do in right. So what can you, uh, which resource you want to do in the right? So same logic, guys, come up here. Okay, so that must that come up. Okay, so what I'm doing here, let's, I think this concept you understood already. So let's do one thing to make this thing a little bit simpler, so I can focus on my other concept. Okay, so what I'm doing, I am allowing all. Let me squeeze this, or maybe I only allow list. So all the list uh, related thing, or maybe read a related thing, they can do. Okay, or maybe tagging related thing they can do. So something I have, but they can't write, means they don't have to delete or terminate. This are normally come in the write. But only read and list related thing for EC2 I allowed. Okay, and for which resource? Okay, so sorry, so which resource? So they say uh, there is no meaning for resource here. Yeah, sorry, all resources means all the issued instance I am giving the power. Okay, and let me review, and this is the my custom EC2. Okay, and prepolicy. But this policy creator is not yet attached with my user. But if you want to attach the user, this one. Okay, so I go here also. There's also one more way, and all the user name come up, whatever user you have, just go and attach. Then this user guys is attached this policy. And now last time this error was come up, so whatever the power we give to this user, all the information come up. By chance they don't have a power of load balancer there, because load balancer may be different service, so load balancer name doesn't come up. Apart from this, all the things related to EC2 come up here. And if I go inside the instances, instance name come up here, and let's say I would like to terminate my one of instance called Jenkins. Okay, if I go here and I wanted to terminate this guy. Okay, so now this big error come up, and they say fail to terminate. Challenge is because terminate is a part of other power, that power I haven't give to this user. Okay, so again, if you go back in this policy, and again edit policy, and if you see here, you don't see any power with respect to write or terminate. Okay, but if you want to give extra power, just create one more, uh, add one more permission. Again, same service, AC2, and here you can give some write power. Most probably, in the write power, you have an option to terminate also, or maybe delete also. So let's go and check. Register, delete. So you can see a lot of delete later things, or maybe terminate or run also. You want to create more, that is also available. So I believe this guy has a power. So I'm just selecting all. Okay, and for what? And it is for all the resources. 1 minute. Even the guy they're showing you per feature also. For this one, give the errand for certificate or gateway. Every small thing we can control. So I'm just selecting for all resources. Okay, and review and changes. Because you guys, your policy file become very big in size, because I keep on typing lots of things there. Okay, so technically if I cancel this, and better, if you see guys, lots of actions they have, right? Or because you're allowing everything, everything here, so what can you do? uh, so I can write, let me delete this guy or edit this policy. I can actually go to my JSON, or become action is allowing everything in EC2, so we can delete all these guys. You see a lot of data we have. Okay, okay, we delete this guy, and just you can instead we write star here. Okay, I mean all the actions we have, I would like to allow. Or maybe guys, you have maybe one single action that you want to deny, so you just copy one more time and right here, and here you can give the effect called deny. Okay, and which action you want to deny, maybe say for example list instances, whatever the actual keyword they have. So technically everything is denied by default, but because you allow all, in EC2 action, but in allow help maybe have maybe 500 different actions. But on those 500, 2 or 3 want to deny. There's the use we can go for deny and manually write which action you want to deny. Obviously, you have to write a right keyword. Okay, that's what you can write here. But let me remove this code, and this is done. Let me review. There's no error. Technically, it look like full access we have given. Okay, and save changes. Okay, and now if my user uh, we refresh this page again, and we're asking this user to terminate this guys, and last time it was fail. terminate terminate, there's no add comma and was working great. So obviously guys, it's not good practice to give the entire power, but I just wanted to show you this thing also can be done. But there's one more interesting concept come in AWS in policy. Okay, the concept guys is called condition. Okay, so what I mean by this, so if you go, let me remove this. I don't have any policy. Okay, let me add new. Choose a service, let's say EC2. To make it simple, I am allowing all. Right, it means all the action in EC2 I can perform. Okay, and my resources is all resources. So all the instances, all the things related to EC2, maybe EIP or EBS, whatever is there, everything I can do on all the resources. But guys, there's one more concept we have is called condition. Okay, so condition means I can restrict uh, I can restrict this policy, or I can say by this policy I can restrict my account, let's say user A. Okay, based on certain conditions. For example, if my user A try to access the account, he log in, and after login he want to do something EC2. So I would like to restrict this guy. Okay, from morning 10 to 5, from Monday to Friday. if if you want to do something here, only Monday to Friday from morning 10 to 5 is allowed to you. Otherwise any other time, because that's my official time, any other time if you want to try to access this account, I am not allowing you to access my EC2 services. So that's one of the thing you can do here. Or maybe you want to restrict your user that if you are logging from this 4 or 5 limited IPs as a client IP, then only I will allow you to access my EC2 instance. Or maybe I can restrict, maybe I have lots of server running, but all the server that are running on availability zone 1A or annual service that's running in Virginia region. Okay, if you try to use a run instance only for Virginia, I can allow. Or maybe there one more thing you guys know, whenever you launch the instance, it is a lot of time is good practice to give your instances some attributes. Okay, so uh, let me mm, attribute column one minute. So we can give multiple attributes. I can say tag. Okay, so why is the option of the tag? One minute, guys. So there's option, right, where it goes, or I'm missing somewhere. So we have a action. Yeah, tag. Okay, I don't know where it's come. Actually, I am I want tag to be implemented. I don't know where it's, or maybe I've limited in services here. We have option, right, to add the tag. Okay, one minute. I don't know, I can see. Yeah, here it is. Sorry. So let's say guys, normally in your OS you can it's good practice guys for multiple region. I think I also told you in my last classes. So when you launch this OS, at that time you can add a tag and say this tag, this user is one of my technical team, or my team would be my front end guys. Okay, or maybe I can say this system is one of the part in the data center, or maybe this is managed by for one of my environment, and environment is production. So you know guys what the purpose, why you launch this instance. So you can give a key value pair, attach or tag this guy. And after tag, now if you go here in the top, you can see any tag that you have given. Okay, come up here, you can see this tag and this tag, select. Now what happened? It is here, the tag name. This name come up here. So what tag name you give here? Oh, I think it's not saved. I don't know which OS I've set, but your tag name, after set, it will come up. Let me set very quickly. It's there, right? Oh, so guys, in the tag name, I think they normally start with capital letter. This I think this is the syntax they follow. Okay, so they have the tag. I don't know why this name, but you guys got the idea. Just go and check. Because I'm using the account. Maybe they have a limited power I've given. Okay, so technically what I'm talking about, so let's say you launch hundreds of instance and every instance you tag, but you want any user A after login, they can only manage the tag that is belongs to environment testing or environment development or QA environment or production environment, or maybe for this team. Okay, so if you have this kind of requirement also, again condition is the one through which you can apply. Okay, so if you go for conditions, you can set all the conditions. Even though you can also set if the user is not login with MFA, we are not allowing. So we can set MFA is required. Because for me this account is very critical. If you don't log in with MFA account, I won't allow you. Or if you only log in from these source IP, okay, then only allow. For example, I'm randomly guys typing some IP slash 32 means is one single IP I'm allowing. Okay, and if I review the policy, so new condition come up, so only this IP is allow. Okay, and I change. Okay, so you can see guys there's new keyword come up, condition IP only this source IP allow. But guys, this is not the security group of firewall. This means the my final user on which this policy attached, that is my user A, and if this user A log in from their laptop, okay, and their laptop is, if you see what is my IP is very different here. So I'm logging from this account and from this IP or source IP. And if I try to use a service called EC2, now see guys, everything is denied because it has been allowed in this policy. In this policy, okay, only this IP allow. If you are the user of my account, so I only allow from this IP. Okay, so that's kind of conditions also guys you can apply here. Like this you can apply lots of conditions here. Let me very quickly show you. Okay, um, so I again go here and this is my condition. You can add more condition, add more IP bytes in this case, but add more condition. And guys, there's a list of condition come up. Okay, so current time, multi-factor authentication, age factor. Okay, referrer, source VPC if you come from, if you're using command line, this user ID, username, Okay, which type of authentication you use, which placement availability zone you want to access. Okay, so lots of conditions key is are available here. So accordingly, guys, you can restrict this guy. And let's say I am allowing for some time range. Okay, so qualifier is um, any value in the request. So date equals to just type your value of the date, and that's all. So between this date and this date is equal to that range, uh, then you will allow. So like this, guys, you can play around with this concept. Accordingly, you can plan. So this is again some recently few months or maybe last few years they add this concept of conditions. So that kind of, guys, level of control to your user who is managing your account. That's what I'm saying. This is a user you can apply. So few more example I think is I opened. Okay, I think in this page or in this page. Okay, so this kind of example I explain you. So allow all these actions for only for this instance. So you can give your instance name or this instance name, and in this instance you can do anything. Okay, so or maybe you can only allow for these three actions or four actions for this instance, but this time only in US East one. Okay, or this like this there's a lot of example, guys, but technically I core level I explain you already how the thing work behind the scene. Or here you can use a condition, right? I would like to allow you only for these three things: start, stop, and terminating all the instances in my US East one of EC2 services. But condition is okay, my environment tag should be production. That's what, guys, I'm trying to tell you. So it's good practice, guys. While launching the instance, always attach the tag. It is very much helpful in management of security plus other things also. So I can write here, if the instance name may be thousands, but any instance there is tag production, so I can allow only three actions to you. So that kind of uh, uh, you know permissions you can also add in the actions. So for example, environment and something like this. So like this, guys, you get a lot of examples uh, in the net, but code level I explain you while creating multiple thing here. Okay, now there's one more thing you can do in IAM. Okay, you can do in IAM. 1 minute. Okay, so there's a, guys, concept called rule. What I mean by this. Okay, so there's a concept called rules here. Okay, so technically what happened, um, now I think you know what is resource. Okay, so if I again make it clear, resource means, for example, S3 is a service, and inside S3, if you create a bucket, or in the bucket you create a file means object, so this is a resource for S3 service. Okay, or let's say let's say you have EC2 service and you launch one operating system instance here. So this is service and this is one of the resource or instance of EC2 service. So this is also resource. So services, guys, is a service, one kind of program. But we are using the service to launch the resource, to use the resource. Maybe OS, RAM, CPU, hard disk, or maybe storage, object storage here. Okay, so if you want some user in your company, company will do something on this resource, will do something on this resource. Okay, after they log in, it is your choice. They log in with GUI, CLI, or with some programming like Python APIs. That will be their choice. That will this decide how they want to log in. But after login, what they can do with this resource or with this resource, it decided by a policy. It's decided by policy. Okay, and we after we create the policy document in JSON, we attach this policy to the user. Okay, so till now, guys, whatever we discussed, it is more about after user login, right? Or because user normally it is like a human being, my IT team or admin guys, after they login, what a power policy they have or permissions they have, they can do. But guys, there are a lot of things in the AWS world that we that we can see that sometime one of my resource want to use other resource in AWS. And there are a lot of example come up, right? Understand one thing, guys, in AWS perspective, S3 is a very different product, different resource, may managed by different team. EC2 is very different product, different application managed by different team. So one of my resource in EC2 managed by very different team, different hardware maybe want or different or OS maybe want to access my S3 resources. And guys, here there is no human being. I am talking about resource to resource or service to service, or one service want to use other service. You can think this way. And service is like a program. Okay, so here human being is using a program, but here one program one is trying to access other program. Okay, so technically you can think here, right? This program is the one who want to access this program. So let's say this is the destination program or service or destination resource or destination ARN number program one want to access. Okay, so technically if you want to give this access, okay, so guys, normally for the human being we create a user. But there's no meaning to create a user. There's no meaning I'll tell my laptop that your user is Vimal, just go and log into my Gmail. I will log into my Gmail from a Vimal account, right, as a human being. But there's no meaning that my Windows gonna log in behind the scene and send a mail and do something. Okay, so for the computers over here, or I say what the programs, okay, if this program want to do something on the destination program like program 2, okay, here there's no meaning to create a user. So for one resource to other resource, right, we have to create a concept called roles. Okay, so we have to create a role. Okay, and we'll tell EC2 you don't have a power to do anything in S3 or any of the action in S3. Okay, everything is by default explicitly deny. But if you want to have an effect or allow and allow your resource in S3 or maybe some object or ARN, and you want to perform list operation there or maybe upload option there, put download option there means get. Okay, so I will create now again the concept is same. I will create a one policy for you. Okay, and this policy I will provide to you. Because there is no meaning to provide a policy to the OS. For example, let's say I'm a human being Vimal, so there is no meaning AWS say Vimal, I will provide this policy to you. Better what they will do, they will create one user for me, let's say user A. They give user a the policy, and then as a Vimal I will log into this account as a human being and do the thing. Similarly, okay, similarly, there's no meaning to provide a policy to the OS. So this policy we will attach to the role. This role is, you can think is something like a user, and this role I will provide to this OS. OS, or I say my EC2 instance, whenever you run, you will run with this role. Okay, and this role has a power of this policy. Okay, so let me guys show you a demo for this. So if you see guys here, there's a roles. Okay, so we have some roles by due to some reason, or maybe somebody behind us in automate create for you. Even though if you see global Excel, elastic load balancer, these are service behind the scene guys, they create a role for us. Okay, because maybe when you use global accelerator service, this service want to use other service, they don't have power, so dynamically they create a role for you. But here, if you want to create a role, I'll show you. But before I create a role, let me tell you one more small thing. Okay, so till date, guys, we have created a policy. Okay, so if you see here, my custom, so type of policy is custom managed because we have created. But using the policy is very common thing. So what Amazon guys has done, they created a lot of policy. If you see AWS managed policy, and they also describe here what this policy is doing. For example, if you see here, second policy is provide a full access to all the sovereign resources. So this is one of the policy created by these guys. Okay, or maybe if you see there's one policy called power, power user policy. Okay, so these are the policies created by this guy. If you read this policy, this is the document, and document is very clear. They say allow, okay, and you are allowed to all the resources, but one thing is not allowed, IAM. So anybody who have a power user, instead of IAM policy, everything they are allowed. But if you go to, for example, a policy called admin policy. So guys, here's this one of the simplest statement, but one of the very much sensitive. It means all the policies, actions, everything is allowed. Means if you give this power to any user, they will work like a root user. Okay, so if I give this power, if I attach to this power, let's say I attach this power to my user A, so it is very destructive, destructive, destructive. I say, after user A login, they have an entire power in my all the services. They can do anything in EC2, S3, EBS, whatever you guys know. They have a complete power. Even though they can also go to IAM service to create other users and to delete other users. So there's a lot of policies, guys, is created by AWS because they say uh, uh, these are the very common use cases. For example, if you search for S3, so if you want to give S3 full access, S3 read only, so these are very common things we keep on using daily basis. So we have given this policy, tested policy, you can directly use. But yeah, if you have some kind of custom requirement, there you can go and create your own custom that I told you already. Okay, but a lot of policy is already created. Okay, but who are going to use this policy? Either users or either roles. Why user? User is the one who log in, normally a human being. Okay, but role is normally associated with other services. So one service want to use other service, there the use of role come in play. So for example, what I'm doing here, I will go and launch one EC2 instance. Okay, in my case it is already running. Let me connect to this guy. Okay, so right now, guys, if you see here, this is one of the resource running running in a service called AC2. And from this resource, if they want to use S3 services, there's multiple way. Let me use a command line. So there's a one AWS command line, you guys know. And in the command line, we have S3 command. Okay, and in the S3 command, maybe take the help. So guys, you know the command line, and we have a S3 as a one option we have. Okay, so guys, in my initial class, I've given this commands to you. Okay, and S3, what do you want to do? For example, I would like to list. I would like to list. Okay, so I can use S3 ls. Okay, and now, guys, they say you are you don't have a credentials. Okay, because technically, what this command is doing, this command behind the scene, this command behind the scene, It's connecting to S3 service. And S3 service, guys, if anything, anybody come to S3 service, right, they feel somebody from outside world is trying to access me. But this guy who is trying to access is one just operating system. And because this operating system doesn't have your login and password, in my initial classes, I had did the same thing, run the same command in my base Windows. And in my base Windows, guys, I will provide my login and password, with AWS configure command or my access key or secret. Okay. So same thing I can do here. I can run my AWS configure command. Sorry, AWS configure. I can provide my access key, my secret key, my default region, let's say AP South 1. I can do here also. Okay. But technically the good thing is, right, this OS is not a normal OS running in the laptop. This OS is one of the OS running in the AWS EC2 service. So this OS is one of my resource. And AWS has given a capability. If one resource, maybe OS, want to use other resource here, S3, okay, so you don't have to use AWS configure command to provide your access key or secret key. With our access key secret key also, okay, this resource can use other resource. Okay, how? By attaching this resource a role. So how it work, let me show you. So if I go to my IAM, so for this, guys, first of all we have to create a role. So I'm creating a role here. I'm creating a role here. Okay, and here, this very common use cases. So they say, either you can choose your use cases. Okay, or better, I'm selecting EC2 service here. EC2 service here. EC2. Okay, so technically what you're doing here, select the type of trusted entity. Okay, next. So technically what was I was doing, which resource or which service I want to give a power. So I want to give power to my EC2 service. What power I want to give? So let me search for S3. I want to give a complete power S3. So I'm giving my EC2 service, okay, entire power of S3 service. So I selected S3 here. Okay, and just you want to set the tag. There's a different point, and this one, and then you can give a role. So I say my role EC2 S3 allow something like this. So EC2, I'm giving a power to do anything in the S3 service. Okay. So for this, obviously you have to attach the policy. Either you can use pre-created policy or you create, this will be your choice. Or why I'm creating this role, because I can give my username to my OS. By chance, maybe to EC2 instance I can give, but there might possibility I can tell my CloudFront contact to S3. I can tell Global Accelerator contact to S3 or EC2 or maybe ELB. So there's no way there to use the AWS configure command. Okay, so you can think also in this way. And finally create a role. This role created. So if you see, guys, this is role we created. Okay, so this role is look like a normal user. Okay, and this role is associated with this policy. So anybody who have this user, or I can say anybody who has this role, they can do anything with S3. Okay, so right now, guys, this role is not yet been connected to my any of my other services. So what I'll do, I'll go to my EC2 services here, issue service here, and what I'm doing here, there's one service running, one service running, this one. Okay, and I'll tell my service. Okay, in the security tab, I believe, we see, guys, there's IAM role option come up. Okay, so if I go to action and in the security and I modify the IAM role here. Okay, so I'm giving this OS and say now you are the OS already running, and I am giving you a power this one. You know, guys, this is the role we have created. Same role come up. I'm giving this power, or you can also create a role from here, and that's all. Okay, so this guys role concept is normally available in service to service inside the EC2 instance. Now, guys, my system EC2 instance don't have any login and password, access key, secret key. Even though without this, if they want to do something S3, they can do. See here, output come up. Last time they were failed, but this time output come up. Okay, and how much my EC2 instance will do? Okay, depend how what policy we given. But right now we have given the entire policy to do anything in S3. But if these guys wanted to do something EC2 instance, for example, they want to describe instances, what are the keyword they have, describe instances. So because I haven't given any describe instances, so you are not authorized. Because rule attached to this guy is only have a permission or policy that is related to REST. But I can just go here and in the same rule, I can attach more policy, maybe let's say EC2 related policy if they have already. So they have some policy for EC2 already created, or maybe we can create ourselves also. Okay, now same command if I run again, uh, it should come up. Full access I have given. Maybe it takes some second normally. Now it's come up, right? They are working. Okay. So guys, this is the use of the role. So if for EC2, you guys might say why we require, we can also log in, give the login and password. That's okay. You can do, there's no big deal. But giving the login and password, they store in somewhere in local systems. Maybe somebody's by chance get access of this OS, they can get it. But let's say this is the option EC2 provide you. But if you want one service like ELB load balancer want to access CloudFront, the two service, right? They don't have a connectivity. Okay, so there you can't run AWS config command there. The only option would be you have to attach the role to the load balancer and say, load balancer, now you want to do something on the cloud front, you have a power to do. So to having the connectivity between service and to allow one service to other service, that's by default everything is normally restricted. Then the concept of role come in play. Okay. So guys, this is a concept of the role. There's some more thing here we will discuss, guys, in my upcoming class. So the main thing is policy and the role. That's what I have explained to you. So this is, guys, for today. Any queries if you have, just you can ask me. Any query if you have. Please show IS, SSO, IDP. Akash, I definitely try to talk. Definitely, I'll try to talk about IDP and SSO, or maybe OpenID is one of my favorite topic in security. But it is actually not come under the security professional training in AWS, right? So it's a big topic actually. Let's see how much I can talk in this training, because my main focus area to cover some of main content first, the main content first. Okay. um, uh, how IAM is different from SiteMinder Okta. Actually, it's a huge difference. Actually, first of all, IAM is a cloud based service, and that is not a pure uh, SSO solution or OpenID solution or OAuth solution for you. If you go to SiteMinder, Okta, CA SiteMinder, CA SSO, Ping Federate, Key Clock. So these are the tools that you can launch anywhere in your environment. and they have a entire SSO solution, session management, uh, report of the session, open ID, SAML, everything they provide you, right? Here I can use this guy mainly for IDP. I can use this AWS guys maybe for SP. Okay. So so huge difference actually. So even though I can say Okta work with AWS, both the guys together solve some use cases. You can think in this way. Now, are privilege escalated possible in AWS? Safari not as tall. Privilege escalation is normally giving one user some extra power. So AWS service is very much tested, right? So there is no as such bug being notified in AWS where you can have attack actually. If you can go for privilege escalation, there's a different point by configuring something by ourselves. But as such, attack kind of concept is not available. Harvind, it's your birthday. Celebrate Harvind today. I know a lot of classes we do today, but celebrate your day. All the best, rock wishes from my side. Is the master DNS different from the different domain power provider? Uh, d- Master DNS, yes, it can be different for different domain provider. Actually, it is per domain. Actually, it's not per domain provider. So if you have a domain from a registrar, so that domain might use a different NS record. Okay. So and so technically, uh, I mean, if you say domain provider, I don't know what exactly you're talking about. If you're talking about registry, register guys where you buy the domain. So per domain wise, you can create multiple or different master DNS. Okay. So Nikhil, your question is not clear, but I think you might understood what I'm talking about. What if two policy conflict with each other? um, Normally deny conflict means allow deny. There's a two things, right? So deny will always win. Okay. So if wherever you write deny keyword, they are always has the first priority. So if you say I want to list allow, then again you write I want to list deny. Okay, so deny win always. So if something conflict technically affects, deny win. Is Keystone service OpenStack IAM or AWS? Yes, they are almost same, Manoj. So if you go for OpenStack, there the name of service for IAM is Keystone. Okay, so they are same. Okay, by chance Keystone has a more functionality that IAM doesn't give you. One of the functionality is they are the one who help to connect the endpoint of the services. Even the AWS also use, but they have some internal program is not visible here. But Keystone we can configure also. So one service want to connect to AWS other service. So Keystone one is the one who give the token to those services. if you talk about OpenStreetMap. But otherwise, 95% both the services different. Sorry, both the services are same. So, does Amazon have NoSQL database backend as most of the things are in JSON format? No, actually, Kedar, if you see JSON, it doesn't means we have to store JSON in no SQL database. A no SQL database. Uh, no, JSON or YAML is just a way to transfer information from one service to other service. So that's the use of JSON or YAML kind of document. Okay, final data will store in respective databases. Depend what kind of data you have, graph or key value pair or something like this. Okay, maybe in RDBMS also depend, right? But there's no link of JSON with no SQL. JSON is just a way to tell some information to one service to other service. AWS had a service for key clock. Actually, key clock is a one product, open source product. Normally is a community product, by managed by Reddit SSO. You can think as a downstream project. So AWS don't have a key clock. It's a product, but you can launch EC2 instance and launch a key clock there. Okay. So I recently set up a lot of key clock for a company called Ericsson, a team for Ireland, a team for uh, Budapest, right, Hungary. So I set up entirely on the top of AWS, but on the top of EC2 instance because this is just a product. So can you teach us hard cascade code for face recognition? Yes, Sunil. In Earth, there's a huge detailed topic of computer vision come up. Hard cascade is very simple code. We are going to discuss in very detail in more, even though CNN or advanced deep learning will do in computer vision in Earth. So in my machine learning training, I will show you all those concepts. So that's all, guys, for today. See you guys in next week's very important topic. IAM. We keep on doing using multiple time. You become comfortable, guys, with the IAM. That's all, guys, from my side today. See you guys next. See you next week. Bye.